My name is Justin Lara, and this is my flight scenario presentation for Aviation 320 at Liberty University. It's going to be an IFR night flight from Kilo Mike Mike Victor to Kilo Lima Mike Tango. It's 244 nautical miles with a planned en route time of 1 hour 56 minutes. Departure time is going to be 0230 Zulu. For any IFR flight before the flight, I'm going to gather all the necessary information ahead of time and submit an IFR flight plan. The workload can get very high during IFR flight, and gathering all this information ahead of time greatly reduces it. This information includes things such as taxi diagrams, departure procedures, approach charts, and more. To make sure I'm good to go as a pilot, I use IMSAFE. This includes illness, medication, stress, alcohol, fatigue, and eating. I'm a private pilot with an instrument rating. I'm making a trip on Saturday night after spending Friday evening and Saturday afternoon at a friend's wedding. I've logged 1,600 hours, about a third of that's at night. I fly VFR whenever possible. Other than at night, I'm always on an IFR flight plan. My actual instrument time is 25 hours. I flew in on Friday afternoon in VFR, and my last actual IMC was 8 months ago. I have flown one approach to minimums with an instructor, and I strictly adhere to personal minimums, which are depicted on the right. There are two key pieces of information that don't set me up well for the flight. I've been at a wedding, which means I may not have gotten enough sleep, and then I'm planning on doing the flight late in the day. Hopefully I wasn't taking advantage of the wedding's open bar if I'm planning on flying, as the rule is 8 hours bottle to throttle and no hangovers. Another big one is my last actual flight IMC was 8 months ago. 14 CFR 6157 states for an IFR flight within the 6 calendar months preceding the month of the flight, the person must have performed and logged at least the following tasks and iterations in an airplane-powered lift, helicopter, or airship as appropriate for the instrument rating privileges to be maintained in actual weather conditions or under simulated conditions using a view limiting device that involves having performed the following: 6 instrument approaches, holding procedures and tasks, intercepting and tracking courses through the use of navigational electronic systems. It also states a pilot may accomplish these requirements in full flight simulator, flight training device, or aviation training device, provided the device represents the category of aircraft for the instrument rating privileges to be maintained, and the pilot performs the tasks and iterations in simulated instrument conditions. A person may complete the instrument experience in any combination of an aircraft, full flight simulator, flight training device, or aviation training device. I have used a simulator or view limiting device to ensure I am current. However, there is a major difference between currency and proficiency. The PHAC explains one of the most important concepts that safe pilots understand is the difference between what is legal in terms of regulations and what is smart or safe in terms of pilot experience and proficiency. Using a simulator or view limiting device does not do flight in IMC justice. There is far more turbulence in actual clouds, and spatial disorientation is far more difficult to deal with. While I can complete this flight legally, I don't necessarily have the experience to do it in reality. For the airplane, I use multiple pneumatic devices and a pre-flight checklist to ensure it's airworthy. 8 emitter flames is for airspeed indicator, tachometer, oil pressure gauge for each engine with a pressure system, manifold pressure gauge for each altitude engine, altimeter, temperature gauge for each liquid-cooled engine, oil temperature gauge for each air-cooled engine, fuel gauge, landing gear, position indicator for retractable landing gear, anti-collision lights, magnetic compass, ELT, and safety belts. If flying at night, I use flaps for fuses, landing light if for higher, anti-collision lights, position lights, and source of electricity. Since this is an IFR flight, I need both 8 emitter flames and flaps plus grab card. Grab card stands for generator or alternator, radios, altimeter, ball, clock, attitude indicator, rate of turn indicator, and directional gyro. Aero is required documents including the airworthiness certification, registration, operating manual, and weight and balance. Finally, AVIA is required inspections including the annual VOR check, 100-hour altimeter, transponder, ELT, and static system. I own and fly a Cessna 182 Tango, which is equipped with an oxygen system and G1000 panel. There is no ice protection equipment. While all these pneumatic devices check out, the lack of ice protection equipment is key and will be further explained in the next slide. For environment, I use a mnemonic device NW Craft for NOTAMs, weather, known air traffic control delays, runway length, alternate airports, fuel requirements, and takeoff and landing distances. 14 CFR 91527 Bravo states, no pilot may fly under IFR into known or forecast light or moderate icing conditions or under VFR into known light or moderate icing conditions, unless the aircraft has functioning de-icing and anti-icing equipment protecting each rotor blade, propeller, windshield, wing, stabilizing or control surface, and each airspeed, altimeter, rate of climb, or flight attitude instrument system. The airplane has ice protection provisions that meet Section 34 of Special Federal Aviation Regulation Number 23, or the airplane meets Transport Category Airplane Type Certification provisions, including the requirements for certification for flight into icing conditions. According to the National Weather Service, icing occurs at temperatures below zero in visible moisture and is most common between 0 and -20 degrees Celsius. The surface of an aircraft that was previously in freezing temperatures could still be cool enough to freeze water droplets even if the aircraft is no longer in freezing conditions. Icing is extremely dangerous to aircrafts as it drastically decreases lift and thrust and increases drag and weight. At the time I reach the destination, the terminal area forecast is showing weather within my personal minimums and approach minimums. However, there will be ceilings at 2,000 feet. With the field elevation of 4,095 feet, the base of the clouds will be at 6,095 feet MSL. At 6,000 feet, the winds aloft at a nearby airport is showing freezing temperatures. It is likely there will be icing conditions on my approach to Kilo Lima Mike Tango. Unfortunately, I didn't plan ahead very well, and I got some external pressures keeping me from making an easy no-go decision. My kids were expecting me to be home Sunday for a championship baseball game. However, my kids not having a dad the rest of their lives is probably worse than not having a dad at a baseball game. I'm going to say no-go on this flight due to possible icing and the lack of proficiency. A better idea that would still satisfy my kids is to rent a car and drive. It's only a 4-hour drive, and I've made farther drives later in the day for work. Here's my list of references. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you for watching.